The biggest misconception about Cosa Nostra and the people that are involved in that life are people really believe that there is honor, loyalty, and respect. These three principles, which Cosa Nostra is based on, it no longer exists, says John Pennisi, a former made member of the Lucchese crime family. The American Mafia, commonly referred to in North America as the Italian-American Mafia, the Mafia or the Mob, is a highly organized Italian-American criminal organization and organized crime group. The organization is often referred to by its members as Cosa Nostra and by the American government as La Cosa Nostra. The five families refer to five major New York City organized crime families of the Italian-American Mafia formed in 1931 by Salvatore Maranzano. Before the five families were created, the head of each family was called a father, which is where they would get their name godfather. At some point, they broke it down to five fathers, then five families. In 1931, Salvatore Maranzano formed the five families following his victory in the Castellammarese War. The five main New York City Mafia families, known as the Five Families, are the Gambino family, Lucchese family, Genovese family, Bonanno family, and Colombo family. The Bonanno family is reportedly to be the nucleus of Cosa Nostra for the United States. The five families control the entire state of New York, not just New York City. Then the commissioner was created based on the idea of Mayor Lansky, known as the mob's accountant, who looked at it as a board of directors. The commission consisted of the head of each of the five families, and they would make decisions on anything that was discussed. For one, territories were divided as to which family represented which part of New York City. How it usually works is that they cut their own turf out, but if on the occasion it overlapped, the commission would step in and make a ruling. When the structure of the five families was created, it was set up more like a military. From the bottom of the pecking order are the associates, who are considered civilians. Anybody that's not a made member of the life that is considered a civilian. Above them on the chain are the made members of the family, which are called friends. Above them are captains, or what are referred to as caporegimes. They are basically the head of the crew. The family is represented by all the crew in that particular family. And then above them are the administration of the family. The boss, the underboss, and the consigliere are at the top of the administration. The administration picks the captain of the family. For one to be a captain, one would have to exhibit good leadership. The administration wants to see something that in that person to know that he could lead the crew. The captains are responsible for each member of the crew, but he's also responsible for all the associates that are associated with that crew. A consigliere position is that of a counselor. He specifically handles not only dilemmas or issues within the family, but outside of it as well. There is not much of a difference between a boss and an underboss except for the title. The boss is the head of the family, and the underboss holds just as much weight in that family as the boss. Overall, a boss's position is to oversee the family. He's in charge of everything that goes on underneath him, which goes through the administration, all his captains, all the soldiers in the family, and the associates. The way that life is structured, the boss is supposed to abide by the same rules as the captains, his administration, the soldiers, and everyone else in that life abide by. The Cosa Nostra is originally based on three principles: honor, loyalty, and respect. However, according to John Pennisi, these principles no longer exist. According to him, honor, loyalty, and respect have been replaced by selfishness and greed. The rules for a member are the rules of the family and the rules of Cosa Nostra. Cosa Nostra rules include not putting your hand on another made member, not going with another made member's wife, and that one needed to be a full-blooded Italian. Still, there's always an exception to the rule. Also, there are those who are able to slip through the cracks in a manner of speaking. One of the rules that members should abide by is that they should never get involved in lawsuits. There was also a rule where the members were not allowed to get involved in stocks and bonds, although there are questions about whether that rule is still in effect today. Specifically in New York, the members of the mob were not to kill women and children or family members in the mob. They were not allowed to use explosive devices such as bombs, because they were known to use explosives to take out members in Italy and Sicily, and they didn't want that kind of attention in New York. However, as mentioned, there's an exception to every rule. Frankie DeCiccio, who was the underboss of the Gambino family, had an explosive device put under his car, and he was blown up as a result of that. The no drug dealing rule applies to all the 5 families, but all the 5 families have had drug dealing activities going on in it. Every family is going to have a certain members that are involved in the drug business and kind of turn a blind eye to it because it brings in so much money. Today, Cosa Nostra members have no problem breaking the rules. In Carlo Gambino's era, members couldn't break the rules. Breaking the rules meant getting yourself killed. All these mentioned rules that were put in place for reasons are now being broken, and when an organization no longer follows its own rules, it weakens the organization. The word Cosa Nostra means our thing, and that means that the structure of the mob or mafia belongs to them, the members of that life. The mob picks you, that life, Cosa Nostra picks you. You don't pick that life, says John Pennisi. Before someone becomes an inducted member of a family, they become an associate. An associate is associated with someone who's already an inducted member to become a member of that family. A boss of a family, or the family as a whole, could bring in hundreds of millions of dollars per year. There are many reasons to fill a boss position. One would be when a boss is arrested or incarcerated. Another would be when a boss passes away for health reasons as there is a void in the position. There are also instances where the family turns on the boss, like in Paul Castellano's sake, where the members felt that he was being greedy. There are different scenarios where a boss can be taken out, replaced, or ultimately killed. When the 5 families were first created, there was a lot more corruption while having law enforcement on the payroll compared to today. Of course, that is not to say that it no longer happens, it's just that it has become less common than the older times. In terms of political influence, it works putting money in people's pockets for political favors. Today, Pennisi believes that the 5 families no longer have the political power that they once had. Initially, the mob took control of the unions by force. They would put people in, and those people would corrupt the union and take over the unions, which is how they were able to control most of the unions, specifically in New York City. Today, although they still have control in certain areas, they no longer control the unions as they did in the past. In my opinion, in 20 years from now, Cosa Nostra is hardly going to exist in New York. I don't believe that they're going to be able to survive, says John Pennisi. According to him, compared to years ago, Cosa Nostra has now declined. He believes that the reason for this is the sentences being handed out and that the government and specifically the FBI have unlimited funds. They now have the time and resources to go after them. Pennisi also believes that earning money by committing crimes or doing various criminal acts is significantly more limited today than it originally was. Once money making is limited, their power diminishes since money brings power. The organized crime today is definitely less powerful than it was in years past, says Pennisi. In recent years, there has been a significant increase in arrests and a large number of arrests in Cosa Nostra. Today, certain families are targeted, and it has become hard for members of Cosa Nostra to operate without law enforcement, specifically the FBI. Today, there are more informants and cooperators. The FBI is able to infiltrate the families or have people working inside who give the FBI information. That is how they're dismantling families. They dismantle them family by family. In fact, members of law enforcement from the US now work very closely with members of law enforcement outside the United States, like Italy and Sicily, where they create joint cases. For more day-in-life content, make sure to subscribe.